Gaming laptops carry the power to run high-fidelity graphics and competitive gaming performance in a mobile platform, but usually at the price of cost. What's up guys, Anton here, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Legion 5i, Lenovo's take on a mid-range gaming laptop. Now just a quick disclaimer, this is the 2020 version of the Legion 5i, so you can expect better performance with the 2022 version, with updated Intel CPUs and the brand new RTX 30 series, the 3050 or the 3060. But first, let's jump into this model. Now when it comes to design, Legion is very consistent in giving us a very sleek, minimalist look. This all-black colorway is perfect for bringing to class and work meetings by keeping you looking professional with a sleek, all-black design that doesn't have an overbearing gamer look to it. Now this does feature an all-plastic design, but it doesn't feel any less premium. The trackpad as well is made of plastic, but it is still nice and clicky and offers a very smooth finger gliding experience. The webcam on this device is quite unremarkable, but we do get a webcam shutter built into the device, so no one has to see you sweat profusely trying to clutch a 1v3. Now the keyboard on this device does feature a full numpad, as well as low-key black keycaps, so once again it doesn't scream gamer at you, especially with very limited RGB choices. Now that clean aesthetic extends to the I/O positioning that Legion does really well, as we can find most of the ports on this laptop on the back end, which includes the Ethernet port, the two USB-A ports, one USB-C, the HDMI 2.0, the power supply, and of course a Kensington lock for safety. Now the back-facing I/O leads to an incredibly clean setup. Now I was able to migrate most of my peripherals and my connections from the tower to this laptop. That includes my mouse dongle, my mechanical keyboard, an external DAC, the Ethernet connection, and when you flip open the laptop, you don't get to see any of those connections. Out of sight, out of mind, allowing me to focus on my work and my game without being bothered by any of those cables. Now the I/O on either side are also quite minimal, with a USB-A port on either side with the audio jack on the left hand side. This gives them more room for ventilation, keeping the device nice and cool. Now talking about ventilation, you can see most of the air intakes at the bottom of the device, where you can also open up the panel and upgrade your SSD, and more importantly, the RAM, which this laptop definitely needs to maximize gaming potential. Now when it comes to weight, this laptop does come in at 2.5 kilograms, with an additional 1 kilogram if you bring around that 230-watt charger that you will definitely need if you go out of the house. Now for the specs, keep in mind this is the 2020 version of the Legion 5i. So for the CPU, we are getting the Intel 10750H, and for the GPU, we are getting the RTX 2060, which is outdated for this series because the new Legion 5 series and 5i series do come with updated CPUs, and the RTX 30 series, mainly the 3050 and the 3060. Now talking about memory, the Legion 5i does go up to 16 GB of RAM and up to 1 TB of SSD. But with this model, we did get the baseline 512 gigs of internal storage. But when it comes to RAM, we do sadly just have 8 GB of RAM, which will definitely impact gaming performance later on. Now, Legion also offers up many different choices when it comes to high refresh rates for the screen. It can go all the way up to 240 Hz, but once again, this is the baseline model with 120 Hz for that screen refresh rate. Now for speakers, we are getting two 2-watt Harman Kardon speakers that do get pretty loud, but most importantly, they can pinpoint sounds in-game incredibly well. I could tell where enemies were coming from just by using these speakers on this laptop. And that is incredibly impressive on laptop speakers because I have tried different headphones that can't do the same. So massive props to Legion for that one. Now when it comes to gaming, I was pretty excited to swap out this laptop for my tower and see just how it does, because my tower also has an RTX 2060. So let's first start off with Valorant. Now I was generally pleased with the Legion 5i's performance. It is a CPU-intensive game, so it was nice to see that the Intel 10750H was consistently pushing above 110 frames per second in deathmatch mode, which is fine for the 120Hz screen that we are getting here. The laptop stayed relatively quiet with Valorant since it is not a demanding game, but you do hear the fans ramp up relatively quickly when you play more graphically demanding games like Apex Legends, where you do feel like you'll need a pair of headphones to avoid being distracted by the sounds of the fans. Now, performance on Apex Legends was subpar for the hardware we have on this laptop, and much of it is definitely nerfed by only having 8GB of RAM. Now, in the firing range, we do get more than 110 FPS pretty consistently, but dropping into Olympus and the other full-sized maps, FPS stagnated to around 60 to 80 FPS, never even touching 100 frames per second, even at the lowest settings, which is definitely noticeable, but don't get me wrong, this is something you can get used to. Now, another stick of 8GB of RAM would be game-changing for this laptop, giving you noticeably more frames per second, maximizing that 120Hz. Now, even with all the issues about the RAM, the Legion 5i excels in gaming because of how consistent it is. Even with 8GB of RAM, with fewer FPS, the games ran incredibly smoothly without any hitching or hanging. That's more important than high frame rates in my opinion. Now, single-player oriented games like Genshin Impact ran incredibly well with max graphics at a consistent 60 frames per second. Now, for the battery, you are getting 3 to 5 hours of battery life with light use, but when you start gaming, expect battery life to drop drastically. So if you are leaving the house with this laptop, I definitely recommend bringing that charger with you. And if you do find yourself out of battery, that 230-watt charger can bring that 80 kilowatt-hour battery from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes. So that's about it for the Legion 5i from 2020. Now, I did really enjoy my time with this device, and it's definitely not outdated just yet. It did give me enough power for me to enjoy my 2 favorite games, and my biggest complaint can be easily remedied by just purchasing another stick of 8GB of RAM. So that's it for my first gaming laptop review. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you have the Legion 5i from 2020 and how well it is treating you today. In my opinion, it is definitely still very viable for 2022. So make sure to leave a like, a sub, and make sure to hit that notification bell button to stay updated with the next video here at Unbox. Once again, my name is Anton, and I'll see you guys next time.